What's going on, everybody? It's MeDrew, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're doing Apex Legends Season 12 tier list of all the legends. So we'll be starting from the absolute bottom, absolute worst in my opinion, but all of them are still good, but going to the absolute top and the best. And this will be all based off the Olympus map, so that's a key determining point for my choice because it's the first split of ranked and it's like the main focus of the map of the season. So with that out of the way, hope you guys enjoy. Alright, so let's get into it. So the starting off with C tier. The very bottom on the Olympus map, we have Rampart. The reason why I think it's Rampart as the absolute worst of C tier is because of her playstyle. Her walls are slow, and overall she just has a very slow and I guess foundational standpoint, but on Olympus there's a lot of rotation needed. There's a lot of open areas, and with the slow time over walls, it doesn't really help with that. And the only thing that she really has going for her, at least for consistency, for this map would be her turret, because that thing is just a devastating weapon and very easy to pull. But she just has a very slow play style, and it's just not helping with the large open area of Olympus. Alright, so next up in C tier is Mirage. Now, Mirage, I think, he's not that bad of a legend if you know how to use him correctly, but the thing is, his abilities are meant to be tricking people, but over time, the more people play him and the more people get to, I guess, go against him, the better they learn his tricks. So for Mirage to always be, I guess, better or remain good, he needs to constantly have his tricks evolving so he has new ones and he can always be tricking and bamboozling people. I just think right now his tactics have been too much of use to, like, a lot of people are used to him, know how to counter it. Don't get me wrong, he can still bamboozle people. He bamboozles me from time to time, but overall I think most people learn his tricks, and it makes it easier for them to not fall to them. So rounding off C tier at the very top is Seer. Now, Seer, he launched very strong, and I think the main reason he got nerfed is because of how many people played and how much, I guess, actual use his abilities got. They were annoying, yes, but at the time, uh, it was just constant spam of them. But what the dev said when he came out, like, unlike Bloodhound, where it's a wide area, he has a very precise. It should be more rewarding if you hit his scan versus Bloodhound, where it's just a wide area, you can get a lot of people. I think they need to give back some of his power, but so the reason why I think he's not well suited for this season is his ultimate. It's wide open spaces, like, it doesn't really help because you know where the enemy is if in wide open spaces. It's mostly used for buildings. The Seer tactical is still pretty good, and it's combined with the passive because it allows him to help him, I guess, see where enemies are through walls, find people he doesn't know are there. But I just think his overall scanning abilities are a bit lackluster, and it doesn't compete with, like, Bloodhound or Crypto's new buff. So that's why he's rounding off the top of C tier. So starting off our B tier, we have my main man, Revenant. Now, Revenant, I honestly was thinking about putting him in C tier, but his ultimate's power, the potential it has, it made him sneak into the bottom of B tier. And this is a little bit of bias because I made him, but I was really not wanting to put him in C tier. But Revenant, his pass is overall, his passive is vertical movement in wide open spaces. It's not very useful. His crouching walking is not faster than running in any means, so not too useful in wide open areas for Olympus. His tactical is decent for this map. I think it needs more range. It needs to be more like Fuse's tactical than than what it is now, at least in the direct method and range. His ultimate is on its own not suited for the map. It's suited for, I guess, building or a map with a lot of cover, but in wide open area maps like Olympus or areas, it just doesn't work. It's just, like, too vulnerable, and with the summoning and everyone knows about it, everyone could be prepared to counter it or camp it, so it's just not really that good. unless it's combined with something else. But on his own, yeah, it's not good. So that's why he's at the bottom of B tier. All right, so next in B tier is our first defensive legend, Watson. Now, Watson is. It's weird because defensive legends on Olympus struggle, to say at least, because, once again, it's a large open area map, and defensive are more normally suited to buildings, and there's not too many of them there. Her buff and, well, her tactical in most places doesn't really work unless it's like doorways. It's not too helpful. Her ultimate is probably her saving grace because it has infinite life. The 250 shield regen pool in a fight, well, when you're in buildings fighting, is very handy. And as always, the pylon being able to stay up forever until it's destroyed for grenades is a really good thing. And overall, it's just a defensive legend and a not very defensive map, so it's hard to place her higher. So she's sitting in the bottom of B tier. Alright, so next we got Bangalore. Now, Bangalore is an interesting one because she's been very consistent throughout Apex's life. But with the scan meta coming in, her smoke is becoming less and less, I guess, as a tool, more of a hindrance. Although at the moment of recording, there is a, I guess, advantage to being in the smoke because you can still see out of it while you are very hard to see in the smoke. I didn't really take that into account when I made this video. I just wanted to make a note of it. But Bangalore herself has just been very constant, and with the scanning meta coming in and her smoke not helping much, it's just degrading her a bit. So she's not bad by any means. It's just there's a lot of things that affect her in a negative way. So she's about mid-ladder for B tier, very close to some other legends I'm about to mention. So on to the next one. Alright, so next is the Gas Daddy himself, Caustic. So Caustic came in the season with a nerf, and being a defensive legend, he kind of fits into the same boat as Watson, as a large open area, not really suiting his abilities, although he's better off than Watson because of his, I guess, ability to throw his cans, and they still act as a little bit of portable cover, and not to mention his ult is just a big gas grenade. But with the the nerfs he's received this season, he becomes less reliable in the gas, like as cover for the open area. It still works, but not to the same degree, and because of Olympus's open map, like I said, it always just doesn't affect a defensive legend that well. So that's why Caustic is mid B tier. He's been nerfed summary, and the map doesn't suit him, so if he was on a different map, he'd probably be a lot better, but this isn't really the map for him. Alright, so the next one we got here is Fuse. Now, Fuse is an interesting one, and the map is more a fit to him. He is more of a long-range damage dealer, and I guess, yeah, long-range damage dealer with all of his grenades, his tactical, the cluster charge, whatever it is. He can throw his grenades and tactical very far, as well as his mortar. It suits very, very long-range style, and when people are pinned behind the little cover that is around Olympus, it forces them out and makes them easier to make as targets, and plus the damage, all the frags and all the tactical damage that will accumulate if you are peppered by them for too long. So the map just plays well to him, so he's starting to gain some momentum on this map. Alright, so nearing the top of the B tier list, we have Lifeline. Now, Lifeline is a very supportive, is a combat medic, and with her role as it is, it's very, I guess, different. Well, let's just say it's slower than most. It's meant for team support. And the passive revive, it's good for behind cover and long range distance, which Olympus is good for, but when you're caught out in the open and you go for a passive revive, it just it doesn't work out because the person being revived normally just dies. So on top of that, though, her ultimate is pretty good. It allows people to get greater loot, although it does have a ridiculously long cooldown. But her role as a support is, I guess, decent. It's one of the only two that are supportive, and the only reason I think I have her high B tier is because of the passive revive, especially at the long ranges. It can make or break gunfights. So that's why she's at the top of B tier. For the second best and B tier, we have Loba. Now, Loba is an interesting one. She is another support legend like Lifeline, except she doesn't really. She supports in a different way. She helps her teammates get loot in a battle royale game. That can be a very important thing. But she's not really like healing or reviving like Lifeline does. But her ultimate is very good. You get it very early in the map, and it's very good for gathering ammo, like I said. And her bracelet is a good teleport, especially for these wide open areas where you can throw your bracelet, try to cover the open area, and stay in cover all the while. It helps clear the gaps and makes her a better choice for some legends that tend to just be left out in the open and get caught with their pants down. But her passive, on the other hand, is kind of useless, and it has been since launch. It's cool, it's nice when you first land and you're like in that rush to get the best gear possible before anyone else does, but after everyone has some sort of gear, it doesn't really serve that much of a purpose. So she probably would be better if she had a better passive, but with her tactical and ultimate being there and her passive weighing her down, she's second best. Alright, so the best legend in B tier is the newly buffed Crypto. Now, Crypto has been a very interesting legend since his launch. He's been a very skill-based legend. He has a very high skill ceiling and a had a very low floor. But with this new buff, the floor has been raised, so he has more overall average power. He has a drone throw, so it helps him in the middle of combat get his drone out there, get more intel. It helps him use his ultimate more effectively as well. Like 30-meter range, you can always tell where you are and how close you are to the drone, so you can avoid it yourself and making sure your enemies get hit with it. And on top of that, because the drone can be piloted, especially in the long-range areas of Olympus, he can remain in cover and scout out ahead or get intel while you're in the middle of a fight and kind of be safe, so long as other legends like Fuse don't mess him up. But he's a good recon, especially for the open areas of Olympus. It can allow for good intel, especially when you're caught out in the open, or it could just help overall teammates get intel, what to do, or push a team. He's a really good support legend, or I guess surveillance legend now with his improved update, but he's not quite there yet on the tier of Bloodhound or maybe Valkyrie, so that rounds him out. And that also... Alright, to start off the bottom of our A tier, we have Wraith. Now, throughout Apex's life, Wraith has been a really good legend, but she plays another victim role to the Olympus map. It brings her down, because most of her abilities have a very limited range, especially over time. The portal and her tactical have been decreased in many ways, and there's been a lot of times where I've caught a Wraith out in the open so many times after her tactical or using her ultimate that they're just easy pickings. They are just so easy to kill because they're just left so vulnerable, because most of them depend on their tactical in every way when they play. It just doesn't make good gameplay. It doesn't flow well with Wraith. Don't get me wrong, with correct team comp and knowledge, you can use her well. You still can. She's still a very good legend, but she's just another victim to the Olympus map where it doesn't go well for her with her abilities. They just kind of don't really do well with the open area. So the next one up on A tier is Maggie. Now, Maggie is an interesting legend. So her tactical is a drill that shoots like this fire magma outside of on the other side of any cover she attaches it to. On Olympus, where it's a very open map, and if you reduce someone's cover the little they have, it just makes it that much harder for a team to survive. And if she needs to push, she has two ways to move faster. Her passive, where if she's carrying a shotgun, she runs at the same speed as she would as if her weapons were holstered and running with her fists out. And also her ultimate, which is a wrecking ball that leaves a trail of, I guess, like boosts that make her run as fast as Octane when he's stimming. And you can, for the most part, guide the trail of the wrecking ball, but it does bounce around and choose its own path, so it could mess up. But for most of the time on World's Edge, it's an open area map and it's easy to throw it in a straight line, so you can get that straight push with combined with your tactical, making it easy to get teams out in the open, vulnerable, and finish. All right, so the next one up is our second simulacrum, Ashe. So Ashe is an overall kind of like Wraith. She has a tac. Well, I guess it's the ultimate now. Well, has been the ultimate. What am I thinking? But she has her ultimate. It's another portal. It's a more direct portal, quicker too. It's better better than Wraith. There we go. Her tactical allows her to, I guess, pin people, and especially on an open map where cover is already limited, it makes it that much, I guess, better. And on top of it, it has, I think, infinite range, so you can lob the thing like across map if you need to. And her passive to know where the enemy team is based off death boxes can be a really good thing, especially if you're pulling up to a dead fight or people who are dead. You can just get the intel, know where the enemy team is, and push, and just take them out when they're vulnerable. But overall, that portal can be a quick, decisive move to get you in and out of fights, and it's a very good tool. And especially, it's much faster in race, so which puts her above it in the A tier. So coming in second place for A tier, we have Pathfinder. Now, Pathfinder has been a very simple legend from the very launch of the game. He has a zipline gun, a grappling hook, and a survey scan. But don't underestimate him, because just because he's simple does not mean he's bad. His grapple has always been a very, very good thing, especially when mastered. Like, there are a lot of people who main Pathfinder and are very hard to kill. It has incredible vertical and horizontal movement capabilities, and the zipline can allow your whole team to, as once again, move horizontally or vertically pretty effectively as well. And like I said, as always, Olympus is an open map, and being able to move yourself or your team quickly between gaps is always a very good thing for this map. So that makes him very, very good for this map, and making sure your team survives the worst of it. Alright, so our number one for the A tier is Horizon. Now, Horizon, since her launch, has been a good legend. That's just a simple statement. She's been probably better than Wraith in most ways. We're just gonna say she was completely broken from season 7 to 8. Season 9, she got hit with a bit of a nerf, and season 10, she bounced back and gained some of her power. But her tactical allows for incredible vertical movement. Her ultimate ability combos very well. It allows you to pull enemies from cover, keep them still so it's easier to hit them with grenades or just guns. And her passive is combined again well with her tactical and other landings, because it reduces that like slow effect. And not to mention, the Olympus map just plays so well for Horizons. It just makes it so much easier for her to use her abilities in an effective way. So that's why she is at the top of the A tier. Alright, so at the bottom of the S tier, people, this is the best of the best. We have Valkyrie. Now, Valkyrie is a very interesting one. Her passive is a jetpack. what can I say more? She has a jetpack as a passive. The ability, the movement capability she has is very, very high. Her tactical is a missile swarm that's, I guess, easy in a large area that does good bits of damage, and on top of that has a annoying stun lock, and on top of it is her ultimate ability, which is a, I guess, a balloon for your entire team at any point, at any time, so long as you have an open area to fly. Now, Olympus, that is such a key thing because it allows you to move from one open area to cover and cover large areas of maps for rotation, which is very important for this map. And on top of that, her passive also allows her to move much more faster and get better positioning than most. So that's why Valkyrie is in the S tier. Don't underestimate the bottom of the S tier, though. Alright, so second for the S tier, we have the speed demon himself, Octane. So, Octane is a very movement-based legend, and as you can tell, movement-based legends for Olympus are a very good choice because it bridges the gap for that legend and their team. The jump pad has incredible movement for vertical and horizontal, and on top of that, it has a very cooldown, so it's like almost always readily available. And Octane basically always has a stim, and with his passive, most of the time you don't even have to worry about popping syringes in fight, because between the certain gunfight and your stims, you can normally get enough healing off that equivalent to a syringe or just a little bit below. And if you don't ever have enough syringes, you don't have to worry about it, or you don't feel like popping one, the passive will take care of it for you. But simply put, he's a movement legend, and he's like the movement legend for a while, best for solo players, but he still has good potential for team play to get his team moving fast in and out of gunfights and in and out of open areas. So that's Octane. Alright, so coming in at second in the S tier, we have the thick boy Gibby. Now, Gibby is all over competitive play. Despite Mad Maggie's tactical being, I guess, straight counter to his dome, it still has incredible capabilities to give your team cover, heal, revive quickly, and it's just a very good tactical. And on top of that, the ultimate. It's a, I guess, zoning. You can zone people away. You can do lots of damage with it if they're caught out in the open. His arm shield is an extra 50 health. The amount of times I lose to a Gibby because of that arm shield, on top of the fortified 2, where it's the damage reduction, it's just brutal. Like, the dude just feels like a indestructible tank that never dies. Like, he has so much health, but he just has incredible team comp. And with Olympus being, once again, an open map, the dome shield allows for mobile cover, which is always a big thing for wide open areas if you get stuck in them. And if you have a movement-based legend, you can get out of there pretty quick. So it makes it a good tool to have. So coming at the top of the S tier, and at least my personal opinion for the best legend in the game at the moment, is Bloodhound. Now, Bloodhound is the OG scanner, and he's still the best one at it. His ability to, I guess, press a single button and know how many people there are in a certain area is just a huge thing. And being able to track his enemies down is it's just another thing that he has. It allows him to, I guess, finish fights or find that elusive prey if he's waiting for his attack to cool down. And his ultimate just plays well into his abilities because it allows him to track even better. He moves faster, and on top of that, he has his scan more readily available. When you're in the middle of a fight and you have a Bloodhound ult, it's a very scary thing because you're just panicking because they'll know where you are at all times, and it's a very wide open area scan ability, and it can cover a lot of area, and for most of Olympus, that is a very important thing. So because of his scans, his information gathering, I've not even to mention his ability to scan the beacons like all other, I guess, recon characters have, like Crypto, Valkyrie, Seer. Like there are just a lot. Pathfinder too, but it's just another more icing on the cake for this amazing legend. So that was my tier list. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next video.